Hey guys, I'm gonna do a show with Karen, my daughter, and we're gonna talk about mob wives. I'm very interested in it. I never saw it. Here's my daughter, Karen, and we're gonna do some talking. Now, mob wives, I think she did a lot of fighting, so I brought some boxing gloves just in case.
Yeah, because me and you can make our own episode
I
for sure.
know.
Yeah, that's true.
Telling people I'm fat, ugly, that I stalked her boyfriend. This bitch is a psychopath.
That's loyalty.
You call it, I got it.
Ange knows my father. She knows my family. Drita knows me for 20-something years. But I gotta sit down with some outsider bitch that just keeps disrespecting me. I'll tell you this much. Today we'll be playing.
Who the you talking about?
You, bitch.
Who the
bitch.
about
You,
me? Do
bitch.
something. Are you testing?
No, I'm telling you.
You're
If you have a
telling me?
problem, then tell me to leave.
Leave.
No.
Let go!
I'm on the floor because Renee put her arms around me and throws me back. Drita jumps on top of me and she's pulling my hair. The same bitch that don't pull hair is pulling my hair. Like, if you're so tough, Drita, let me get up and let me square up with you and we can fight each other fair.
You two girls will go in for each other's junk.
There's definitely a lot about what you don't know that went on behind the scenes. Like the show that you seen on TV was way different because there was a bigger show behind the scenes, a lot of politics.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
You know, when it first came out, I was terrified because I was in prison, and I said, somebody's going to make a comment. I'm going to be in 50 million fights in prison. But surprisingly, that everybody came to me. They loved you.
The first season, they played mob wives and it went to all the prisons. It was a big show. I think a lot of people, because I talked to people that are still incarcerated currently, and everyone was like, no, that we don't want to watch that show. And they were telling us that everyone in like the mess halls were glued to it every week that it went on. So the first season it played. And then what we were told was the second season, once it came out, they kind of eliminated it off the prison.
Well, in my prison, even the first season, I wasn't allowed. They were worried about conflicts or arguments or stuff. So I wasn't able to see it. The second prison I was in, when it came on again, it wasn't even on that at all. So
thank God for that.
Well, I mean, I heard about it. I was talking to my daughter on the phone, so I knew what was going on. I knew it was going to come out, but I just didn't know how it was going to play in the prisons, what guys would say. And I was concerned with having fights, somebody saying something about my daughter or this or that. I said, I'm going to be fighting every 3 minutes. So I didn't really want it to come out at first, but the show was great. Like I said, everybody that I met in prison was raving about it to me. And I couldn't see it because certain prisons where I was in, I wasn't able to see it. But everybody I talked to was raving about it. Do you know her? Do you know this one? Do you know that one? I said, so to my daughter, I know most of them, but I don't know them all. It just went berserk.
I remember when I first told you I was going to do a show. I don't think you even really believed me. You were like, yeah, and went on. I'm like, no, I'm going to do a reality show. And you were like, yeah, because you were calling from prison and we were having conversations. And it was like, you only have 15 minutes to talk. So when I'm trying to tell you about the show, it's like we needed to talk about other things until it really started happening.
Yeah.
I might have came, because where were you when it first came out? What prison?
I don't remember. But, it happened gradually. I didn't know it was going to explode like that. And even when it was over, all these years I was in prison, everybody brought it up to me. Or when I came out, I was talking to people and they would tell me, is that your daughter, Karen? So, I mean, you made a name for yourself. That was like tremendous. And no matter where I went, they were bringing it up, the show and you and the other girls and the arguments and fights. And a lot of times I couldn't answer because I didn't see it all. Right. But I heard about it.
There's a thing, right? It's reality TV and then there's real life, right? So for me, real life was, I wasn't a mob wife, but I grew up in that world. It was a lot, going on TV. First and foremost, like the show is never supposed to be called Mob Wives. That's the crazy thing. So I don't even know if you know that because when we first shot it, let me go all the way back to when we first shot it. Jennifer was actually helping someone, which is Renee's sister, cast a show. And it was about women whose husbands go to prison and whatever. And I wasn't going to be on it. I was definitely like, I'm not interested. I was working more like I wanted to do scripted. I just felt like I had too much baggage, like to come on TV and just dredge everything up. Like we've obviously been through a lot in our lives. And the last thing I wanted to do was go on a reality show and bring everything to the forefront again. So I was not even thinking about it. And I just happened to come in while they were filming the sizzle reel. And one thing I will say about Mob Wives, which made it so authentic, was we all had history. Like we weren't just a cast that was all put together. Nobody knew each other, and we had little fights that just generated right then and there. We had history. There was a lot of, relationships from the past and things that were brought up. So it was very intense. But anyways, getting back to the sizzle reel, we were just organic. Like the sizzle reel was like gold. They called it liquid gold. And we originally pitched to VH1. And then after the pitch, Jennifer, Renee, and Drita and myself went out. Harvey Weinstein guy David Glasser was there. And he was like, what are you guys doing? We're like, oh, we're pitching a TV show. And he's like, what's it about? And we're like, oh, women. And at the time we were thinking of calling it Connected. And it was more connected to people that were incarcerated rather than the mob, because I don't think any single one of us wanted to bring up the mob. That's not what our intention was, to go in, pitch it solely on that. So we just started talking. And then I guess when we got up off the meeting, David Glasser was like, you have to bring this to Harvey. He's looking to get more, like more TV shows, because right at the time he was doing Project Runway and they wanted to build more of a presence. Next thing I know, they sent him the sizzle reel that we formed. And actually, you called on the sizzle reel. I asked you to, remember?
I think so.
Yeah, I was like, Dad, they're doing this sizzle reel, whatever. And it's about people in prison. Can you just do a phone call? In retrospect, looking back, I didn't know that, we would be the catapult. Listen, there's basketball wives, there was baseball wives, there was housewives, and then all of a sudden it was like mob wives. And mob wives didn't just resonate with people that are in the mob. It was like a whole culture of people whose husbands were in prison. So we had a huge following. And that's what I think is why the show was so successful, because from the beginning, we did talk about our families, but then like every other reality show, it got into the relationships of the women. And that's, to me, where it kind of took a crazy turn. And I did grow up in a world where I was surrounded by a lot of mob wives, right, including my mother and people. And I never seen them fist fight each other or curse each other out. So I want to say that, like, when people would say, like, you guys aren't typical mob wives, no. But that's where the reality TV aspect of it took over, because people fuel off of drama.
Right.
And it was going in that direction. And for me, it was the pulling back and forth, because when I came onto the show, it was originally about women who go through struggles. And I felt like I've been through so much in my life. You were in prison, everything that happened in Arizona, that I really wanted to say that you could go through these things and come out on top. But then next thing I know, I'm like fist fighting in a room, cursing, and just, and hey, if I could take it back, I would, but it is what it is. It's what made the show great.
But it made the show great. And you got how many seasons? 2, 3?
Six seasons.
6 seasons.
I left for 1 season and came back.
Right.
History was made, I guess, right?
So I deserve a little credit for that.
Okay. You always want credit. You want credit and money. I don't have any money, so I'll give you credit. Yes, definitely.
That's good. I saw a bus in a commercial or something. A bus was there, and on the bus it was mob wives.
We were on buses, taxis in New York. Taxis. And my ultimate, we were on the billboards in Times Square, but my ultimate, I can honestly say, wow, we did that, was season 2. They promoted it as New Year, New War. We came down while the ball was dropping in Times Square for New Year's Eve. They were playing the promo of Mob Wives in the back, and I was like, oh, wow. To me, that was huge. So it was definitely, and that promo, So I think like reality TV also was, it's so different now than it was then. But Mob Wives kind of, especially for VH1 and Viacom at the time, we kind of set a standard because they put so much money into our promos. They did. And it was like that particular promo, they rented like a whole, I don't even know. It wasn't a warehouse. It was like an old restaurant. It was huge in Brooklyn. It was over the top.
It paid off because
Yeah.
the show went nuts, and their advertisement, they must have made a ton of money with it.
Yeah, they definitely made a ton of money. But they put a lot into it. They really got behind that show. It was very big for them. And then also Harvey Weinstein, from what I'm told, actually put a little promotion about it himself. Like he had his own production, his own like PR team that put stuff into it. So
I just went to a meeting with my friend Roberta. We went to a restaurant. There was some woman around, a young woman.
mm-hmm.
And one of them came over to me and says, "Is that your daughter, Karen?" So,
Yeah.
and she brought up the whole thing like she knew you, but you were here in Arizona. You were doing some work with facials and stuff, so she knew you from there and Mob Wives. So
Yeah.
they were still bringing things up about it.
But we always get asked a lot. I mean, that was one show that they definitely wanted to come back. And there was a lot of politics. Like one thing about Mob Wives that a lot of people don't know is we weren't canceled, right? It wasn't canceled because we had amazing ratings. The show was good. It had a 6-season run. And then it came back to negotiations between the network and the production. And they weren't able, like, I guess production wanted a lot of money and, the network was trying to cut back. So they were going back and forth. And then we kind of also fell into the whole Harvey Weinstein drama because that show was owned by his company.
Right.
And when he went through all his stuff, it's like all his assets that were being sold, we kind of got pushed around. And then, the network just couldn't make a deal with the production. And they always wanted to bring it back. I know both ends, production and the network wanted to bring it back. I mean, we were just talking about it recently, so.
Yeah, once he got in trouble,
Yeah. It was like a trickling effect of things that happened.
Yes. Well, he owned a lot of it, so once he falls down, it's just about over.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny because from the first time I ever met Harvey Weinstein, we were sitting there and he loved it. I was like, he knew Mob Wives. He knew obviously who you were and the history. He's from New York. So he's actually from Queens. So he knew about, John Gotti or whatever. And I seen him and I was like, Harvey, I want to say one thing. And he goes, what? I go, you're a gangster. He loves it. But he's definitely like, we went to parties where he was and he had, the way he controlled the room and just, I never seen, anytime we were around him, I never seen any of the stuff with women. But then again, we really weren't his type. We weren't like 6-foot models. We were mob wives. So he never messed with us. But, this is something that no other shows have done before. And we didn't really talk about it because, when we first came on, it was like we first seeing each other for the first time. But actually, the cast, which was me, Drita, Carla, and Renee, went on pitch meetings. And we were actually in the pitch meetings with Harvey Weinstein. I think one time his brother, Bob, was there. But Harvey would come to the pitch meetings with us. And it was funny because he just had a vision of the show. Like we were in there talking about the mob and they would go around the table and say, Karen, could you tell your story? I'll tell you a funny story. From the second that show came, it was like we were all in competition. Well, not me. Renee is a larger than life personality and she has to get the center of attention. And then Drita was like, I don't know what to call her. And I'm just saying in that meeting, it was like she wanted to outshine Renee. So Renee is very good at what she does. So they're going around the table and they were using us as the pitch. So they're like, okay, Renee, open up. Renee goes in and she's telling this story and she's like, she gets all into it. Her father's TG and the mob and the whatever. So me being the person I am, I'm supposed to go, wow, how could we top that story, right? I knew I could top the story because we have our history. And when I said that, Drita's like, yeah, I know, Renee, you want to steal the whole show. So these two start arguing, right, in the pitch meeting with each other. This was the original pitch meeting for VH1, which they actually passed on us originally. And these two start arguing and I'm like kind of taken back. And then Drita comes out and, her history wasn't in the mob. And I will say this, like, no matter what our history is, Drita definitely played a pivotal role in the show because her personality, but she came in and she was like, yeah, and I go to Rikers Island and I beat people up. And I'm like, looking at her, everything shifts in the room and she's saying how she breaks bones. And I'm like, and then they come to me and I'm like, these two are nuts, right? In my head. And they go, Karen, and what's your story? And I go, it's just emotional. I'm just emotional. I was more emotional about these two fighting because I just thought it was unprofessional. That's how little I knew about reality TV because
They loved it.
they loved it. They were eating it up.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm just emotional. And Jennifer, which is Renee's sister, she was the executive producer, is looking at me like, why aren't you saying anything? And I'm like, I just can't. And we all got up and we left. And I was like, oh my God, that was horrible. It's the worst meeting ever. And we actually they did pass on us originally. And then they said, once Harvey came into the picture and they realized that this was his show, they came back to the table and they actually wound up bidding for the show and got it. So.
He was a powerhouse. Before he got in trouble, he was a complete powerhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it.
That's the crazy thing about Mob Wives that I don't think people knew. Like, we actually were on the pitch meetings. And Harvey was in there, which was kind of impressive because, to us, he's this big Hollywood producer and he's like in the room with little old us. I mean, everybody was very intrigued because, again, at that particular time, now it's like all you guys have podcasts, everybody's speaking about it. There were other mob women shows. I think it was like Married to the Mob that came out. But at that particular time, no one came out and spoke about it. And then we have such a huge history that you did your book. And obviously there's, and I always say this, no matter what it is, John Gotti's Sammy the Bull is going to go down in history forever. It was such a big story. So for them to have all that, it was like... It was amazing. And even from the production, they get shows and they send it out to people. Like, people really wanted to be on this show because of the whole mob aspect. And for me, it was like, are we really going in this direction? And there's one clip, which was Good Morning America. The show comes out, right? And we're actually filming while it's airing in the first season, which they didn't mean to do that. It's just that they were getting so much material. But it also made us start fighting more because now you have fans and people weighing in and we're filming and we're showing up to set like, did you see that episode? Now I know what you said behind my back. So it kind of like triggered us to start fighting more. So while this is all happening, they're like, you guys have Good Morning America. I see this clip, we're all tense. And me and Renee are sitting there and it's like the first time we ever spoke about the mob. And we're like, I don't know. No matter what, like the world that we grew up in, it was the unspoken, and we never talked about it. Everything was like quiet. I never came home to you and said, what's going on in the mob today. Like, women knew their place in that lifestyle, and I will always say Carla, and obviously you know this, Carla came in that show and I always have a respect for her because one thing about her is she stood true to everything. Her father and her uncle was actually murdered or whatever. And she said, I will not speak about my family. Do not ever ask me. And she never did. She said, I'll talk about my husband. And I give her that because she still, it was off limits. Yeah. For the other ones, I mean, everything kind of, it was like.
Yeah, for her uncle there, it was an ugly story.
Yeah.
With the Lucchese family and everything. What they made him look like wasn't true.
Wasn't true, and you said that. And I always told Carla that in the background. She said I appreciate it, but she and the funny thing is we actually came in the show, and it's just the way it all paired up. Like, she was Drita's friend, and I didn't know Carla from when this all started. And actually now me and her are like the best of friends. We talk all the time, and I really like Carla. And I always say this, even in the show, she's loyal. And if she doesn't care, like when we were having arguments, if I said Drita, she's like, I don't want to hear it. Drita's my friend and we're not talking about it. And I like that about her. Hence, she wasn't the most feisty one and she didn't fuel all the drama, which you needed. I think Drita and I kind of carried that on our shoulders, and Renee was just full of drama. And
Gas Pipe and them, they're out of their mind. They want to whack people every 3 minutes. They wanted to whack him for whatever reason. I knew him good. He had horses in New York, and I went to his stables and stuff like that, riding horses. He was a good guy. And when they wanted to kill him, but he was a good guy, they needed an excuse to kill him. Otherwise, everybody would get offended. And what they did when they killed him, they made sure that the guy put a canary, a bird, in his mouth, meaning he's an informant or a rat or whatever you want to call him. But it wasn't true. They used that I knew him good. He was not an informant or a rat. He was a good guy, stand-up guy. But they had problems within their circle. They wanted to kill him. That's up to them. And they used that as a reason that this is why we killed him. So it would shut everybody up. Nobody would complain. Mo, you could just killing people left and right now. Good guys. Why are you killing them? They try to avoid that backlash. And they use that, and we know it. Matter of fact, at one point, they were trying to press on the family a little bit, and John Gotti sent me over to talk with Al Diaco, that he knew the family, get off their backs.
Yeah.
And I met with Al Diaco. I told him, get off their back. If you got any money coming, let us know. We'll get it. We'll give it to you. We don't want it, but stop bothering these people. They're legitimate people. They're good people, and leave them alone. I had a big argument with them, and that was the end of it.
I think Ramona came on, and she has a big story, like her grandfather. They had Big Ange, her uncle. Big Ange was a breakout star.
she was wild.
Real comic relief, and I
That
think the show
voice.
needed that.
Oh, with that voice and everything. She was great too.
I like the wise guys because they know how to treat women. They bought me nice houses, gorgeous furs, diamonds, cars. They're very generous, and they're very good looking.
It was really very authentic, and it wasn't like, it was real stories, real history, right? So I think on the flip side of it, while the show was happening, it was also personal, because even like Ange, and me and Ange got along great off camera, but it was like on camera, and that's where like reality TV comes in, and it kind of starts pitting everyone against each other, where I think for us, it became very draining, and that's where a lot of the fighting was also coming from too, because I also, like Ange, I'm like, you're here acting like you're best friends with Drita. Would she come to your bar a couple of times? Like, we have history. I know your uncle. I used to go on vacations with your family. So again, taking all the real mob history out of the show, it was great TV, and it was iconic, and it was definitely, it played the part that it needed to play, and it was definitely worth it for television.
Absolutely. And if Harvey Weinstein didn't get in all that trouble, that thing would have went on for 10 seasons.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Probably. He would have came to the table and negotiated everything, and it probably would have, I think.
When he got in that kind of trouble, it was over.
It was a lot of things.
It was over for him, period. Anything and everything he was doing was over.
And also, reality TV now took, it's not like it used to be. No. They're not putting $200,000 into promos for reality TV shows anymore, and they're not getting behind it. So it kind of like is a shift in the industry as well. We kind of came in the height of reality TV, coming off of which is my favorite show personally, was the Osbournes. I love that show. And Jersey Shore just came out, and it was even Growing Up Gotti. I think Growing Up Gotti, to me, I think it was before its time, because if it would have came in the era of social media and stuff, I watched it a couple of times, but they were the original Jersey Shore. That's what Growing Up Gotti. And then they kind of mimicked Jersey Shore with the Pauly D and the spiked hair. So and then came Mob Wives, and it was just in that whole explosion of reality TV. And now it's going in a different direction, more scripted shows, podcasts.
Yeah, that music that you had was great, where the whole 4 years of walking on. Yeah. The Sopranos had that too. That when you open up a show, that music, it got people motivated to watch. They sat right down. As soon as they hear that music and they see them people walking, your show had it, Sopranos had it. Some shows just wind up having it all.
Yeah, it did. It was great. The way they shot it, they wanted to make it from the production, because now after I went and worked with the network and did my own show, Families of the Mafia, and I kind of got real close with a lot of the production people that actually were the people that made the show. and they kind of like broke it down how they filmed it. They wanted it gritty. They wanted like, they had the camera shots when the show first opened. It was genius. It was, and listen, no matter how I feel about all the women on the show, I have relationships with some I'll probably never speak to again a day in my life. But I will say, especially the core four, me, Drita, Renee, and Carla, it was like we just came together and we all played our part, you know. While it was happening, I'm like, why is she here? She's not even in the mob. This one hates that one. It was a lot of, you know, the behind the cameras. But now that I'm so far removed from it and my feelings are out of it, every single one of us, Drita was great at what she did. She had the punchline, you know, she kind of played that part.
And then really good, and then bad.
Things that were right.
Things that were wrong.
Get up, Karen. You mother. Yeah, she ain't staying with me. That mother liar. Oh, you fucking gangster. My husband's a. What are you looking at like you don't know what the is going on? Oh, man.
And that's what took the show to the next level, because it was Team Drita, Team Karen, you know, it used that and it kind of just pushed it and people became invested into it. Because you can only tell your story so many times, right? You get up there. So then it becomes more about the women and their relationships, and that's what people become invested into. So I think, like, if I could do it all over again, like I said, even if I don't like some of them, I'd probably pick the same group of women and we would just do it again, because that's what made history. There's one person with one big personality that usually pushes a show. No. Mob Wives everyone had a big personality. It was, you know, you had Ange just walked in and the thing about Ange was she barely said anything. She would make like one comment and it was just like, people loved it. Like, I love the wise guys, you know, she played her part, and she walked in a room and I seen it on camera and off camera, like, people were just drawn to her.
Oh, you gotta see this one. He just came home from jail, 28 years he did.
Well, that's good.
For murder.
That don't make him a bad guy that he did that.
He's buying me a puppy.
You know, Drita was super feisty. She had a lot of good punchlines. She was funny at what she did.
Nice. I haven't had nails in I don't know how long. When I was younger, I had them done all the time. But I was always fighting men. No. And my nails always snapped off. My knuckles were banged up. They thought I was a mental.
Renee was drama. Like, I mean, that girl, no matter what happened, you could leave a crumb on the table and she's rolling on the floor and can create drama out of that.
You yourself surrendered to the feds. Oh my God. He just woke up and went to jail and left me and AJ out to dry. No heads up, no, I love you, I'm sorry, goodbye, nothing.
And I think I was the one, because I did leave for a season, season 4, and then I came back in season 5. I was the one that when I come in a room, everyone's gonna know that, like, I'm gonna keep it real. So everyone acted differently, and it was like they were on guard, because if someone's gonna say something, I'm gonna call you out, just because, you know, I can't deal with liars. So yeah, that's who I am. So I think we all added to what made that show great.
I agree 100%. Yeah, as a team, you couldn't get a better team of people.
Right.
The arguments, you just followed it right around the table. It was perfect.
And it also went off camera. Like, we all lived on Staten Island and we all knew the same people. Right. So when the cameras went down and we had those big fights on TV, we're calling everyone who's showing up. You know, our show almost did get canceled twice, probably because of fighting. Well, I don't know if it was really going to get canceled, but they threatened us. We had big meetings because it did become too much at a point. I think season, was it 2? When we had that big fight on top of the rooftop, and you didn't see it, but a big fight broke out between me and Drita, and then Ramona came in. My cousin, you know how she'll protect me till the day she dies. So it had a fight. Me and Drita took a swing. I hit her. She had a black eye. She got carried off, but there were men there, like Junior, right? You know, he's a psycho, Renee's ex-husband or whatever. And then the men, because when the guy came in to grab Drita, it looked like he hit Ramona. I don't know. Her lips started bleeding. And I was like, who did that to you? And then all the guys looked and they thought the other guy hit Ramona. So it went outside. And I think that's when everyone got scared. Everyone was like, oh no, this is too much. Now men are going to get involved. And, you know, we still, no matter what, have a mob element to this. And, you know, everyone was
Well, Junior, I know Junior good. I did time with him.
Yeah.
Good guy, tough guy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it is. So when the men started getting involved, I think they got nervous, and we had a couple of sit downs over that, but we continued to push forward, and yeah.
The few scenes I saw, it was legit. It was a legit argument. I saw that scene where Ramona got hit and she yelled for my daughter. There was a guy holding my daughter, big guy, heavy guy, and he was holding my daughter. My daughter was wiggling, trying to get away from him, and then she started punching the guy in the face to get loose, to go help. So that's her. Yeah. One time years ago, this is when we were all on the street, before Mob Wives, I get a cop come to me, and he says, Sammy, there was a big argument, a fight. Your son was sprayed with, spray, and his eyes were teared. She was passing in a car with her boyfriend. I don't know if she even remembers, and she jumps out of the car thinking that the guy just hit him, and he's got tears in his eyes, and she whacks the guy, knocks him down, almost out. The cop says, Sammy, his daughter just knocked out a guy. And they knew me on the street. So I said, what happened? Something about your son, she thought the wrong thing. She hit the wrong guy. So I said, that's my daughter. I said, is she going to get pinched? What's going on? He said, no, it's his daughter. We took her, we pulled her away, but we gave her a pass. So that's her. I mean, she's ready to go at the drop of a hat when it comes to her family or friends and stuff like that. And that's what she did. I saw that clip with Ramona, and she's punching the guy in the face. The guy is 3 times the size of her, holding her. And he got hit with shots. Do you remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember it. Ramona had a guy was holding her back. She was dragging him.
Right.
Listen, I think we don't go out. When we were growing up, I think that was just kind of in the neighborhood. We had fights. There was a group of us, and we all stuck together and fought for each other. And I will fight for my family, wrong, right, or indifferent. I'm going to go to bat. But for the most part, I'm a laid back person unless someone pulls my strings. And I think, again, on that show, it's we're all being pitted against each other. Now, do I want to say we had no dirty producing on that show either. We were all firecrackers. I mean, I think a lot of the outside noise from fans and people tweeting and, a lot of that played into it. And I also think a lot of emotions, because for me, and I always say this, within that world, I was born into it. And I had a great growing up. I was, surrounded by family and love, but there's also a dark side. And I think that I had to live with a lot of things and go through things in my life, and I seen it. So it was emotional for me. And then it's but I had to, and when it was on the show, it's I'm caught up in it because everyone was brought on that show. And I will say this, and I don't think you've known this, they tried to bring in Nina Castellano. And I always say I have respect for the Castellano family, no matter what. They brought her in, and her and I went to school way before Mob Wives, back in the day when the grandfather was murdered and everything. And it never became a thing between her or I. We never spoke about it. It was just, it was just is what it is. It was men's business. And when they brought Nina on the show, they were questioning her about how she felt about me. She's like, I love Karen. They couldn't get her to talk bad about me, hence she never made the show. And then I think she kind of herself realized that this wasn't an avenue that she wanted to go down. And she was the one that actually said, which I wasn't there, but I did hear after the fact from some producers that were there, she just didn't want to talk bad about you. It wasn't her thing, And I think because we genuinely had real history, and she grew up the way I grew up. And take away Mob Wives, because that came years after the Castellano hit. Her and I went to school together when that happened.
Right, I remember.
We were friends. It was never a thing. And, I always say, the Castellanos and Gambinos and stuff, you don't really hear them complaining.
And I followed that very closely. The Castellano family and the Gambino family were not just the men, the women, everybody, the whole families understood the life a little bit. And they were classy. They never opened their mouth. They never complained and argued or called people's names. They were very classy. They understood that their fathers or whoever died. I mean, this was the life. This is part of it, and they got caught up in it, the guys, and they accepted that without going after people and saying things and making remarks or trying to sue or do this or do that. They're very classy people, the whole family.
And, I do want to say while Mob Wives was airing, like a lot of mob-owned restaurants in New York didn't really want us there. And it wasn't me per se. Everyone tried to say, oh, they didn't want Karen there or whatever. It was just the whole concept of the show. They kind of distanced themselves. But being in New York, even till today, like some of your old friends or people that, it's they were like, why are you fighting on TV? Or, and people had a respect and an understanding. And no matter what it is, it's like, it was still a man's thing, right? So they looked at Mob Wives like, oh, the women, they're crazy, they're doing this. I did run into an old time friend of yours or whatever. And he said, Karen, Mob Wives don't fight. I said, well, I guess this generation does. He's like, you're not a mob wife. I said, that I know. But the whole concept in the name of the show came from, instead of us being married, because everyone's like, that was another thing that was really frustrating, because people were like, you're not a real mob wife. And I'm like, what do you mean? We were born into this, right? I didn't have to marry a gangster. Like, I have to still till today carry this on my back. And it's who I am. It's what made me who I am. And it wasn't about a husband. It was being married to a lifestyle. And
Exactly.
I think that and I always say this, for the real people, take the people out of Mob Wives. Because then it started becoming, they were adding little people in, it's, to fuel drama, and it totally got away from the whole mob element. I think for the real people and families that went through this, we'll always be married to a certain type of lifestyle because we grew up in it. We understand, and it's made us better people or worse. Everybody can take something away from it. For me, I like to say that it taught me a lot, and it made me who I am today. And no matter what trials or tribulations I went through, it made me stronger. The made up Renee, I'm not welcome in New York, and there's 100, street guys that never said a word to me, like people, even your own crew that I see. And, it's always been a mutual respect. I think the way I carry myself in that world, I know how to move, and I know who to, like, I'm not going to walk up to a table of wise guys, which I never would, even when you were on the street and active, and sit down. I know my place as a woman and growing up in that world. So I never had issues. People, like I said, people may talk behind my back, but I live in New York, my daughter's there. And I think for me, again, that was just a show. It doesn't define me. I think, you have your relationships with people, and people, whether they like you or don't like you, for me, I've only seen respect. People have always treated me with that.
I think truly is the first thing when I walked away from the life, you get the label and you do all these things. I think at this point, I get thousands of calls. People who I expected to walk away, Toto's son, Charlie Boy, people like that, they understood the life. They understood what happened. I had somebody talk to me just last night, a good friend. I don't want to say the person's name. When you flipped, you left the life, nobody believed it. Your people, your friends, people who knew you, nobody believed it. And this person was very close with somebody who's a Gonziera family. The Gonziera said, that's not Sammy. Something's wrong. They got some sort of a gimmick that they're doing. This isn't him. This isn't like him. And so I got a lot of calls like that till today. And a lot of guys tell me, even guys who are not in the Mafia tell me, I would do the same thing. I would walk away from the life. But, these keyboard guys who are just calling names and saying things and stuff, you see this on YouTube now. I don't pay attention to it either. Sometimes it bothers me because of family-wise, because of you or Gerard or something. I'll hear something and it'll bother the shit out of me. But this is what this thing is now.
I'm Karen Gravano, the daughter of Sammy the Bull Gravano, the former underboss of the Gambino organized crime family. In 1990, my father cooperated with the feds and is considered the man that helped bring down the Mafia. My father always taught me, don't be a tattletale, so when he cooperated, I didn't understand why he was doing it. It was devastating. My father is my best friend. When when he went to prison. That was probably the lowest point in my life. I felt like I had nobody. My entire community turned their backs on me.
I've known Karen Gravano forever, and our fathers were very cool with each other. As soon as word came down that her father cooperated, I can remember my dad saying, end all friendships, no phone calls, over, finished. And that's just the way it was.
Once my father turned on the mob, we were forced to start over in Arizona. I've been here for 10 years rebuilding my life. Kareem, you need to come in here and do your homework. I have a daughter. Her name is Karina. She's 11 years old, and she's my best friend. You're like BFF. Remember? Best friends forever.
How many best friends do I have? Everyone's a best friend. I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, I was so green to reality TV. I'm like, I'm all sweet.
After 10 years in Arizona, I'm going back to Staten Island because I'm writing a book. I want to put myself in that mind frame of being Sammy the Bull's daughter. Sorry we're late. Tonight I'm going out to dinner with my best friends in Arizona. I'm going to say goodbye to them, which is going to be sad. Are you excited to go? I need to go back because I'm going to be working on this book. Like, everything's so Mafia oriented. Like, yeah. Staten Island's the breeding ground for the Mafia. Still like that? Seriously? Yeah, basically.
Oh, that was such a controversial statement when I said Staten Island's the breeding ground for the Mafia. Everybody, that's when we don't use this part, but that's when the Italian American Civil Rights League went nuts. I just think that at that point in my life, I've come to terms with everything that we've been through, you know, who I am. I think I found a solid understanding of myself, and I really don't care what people think about me. I know who I am as a daughter. I know who I am as a mother. And if people want to judge me or not like me for whatever, for mob wives, for whatever I've done in my life, I really don't care because that's not going to dictate who I am. So that's where that statement came from.
Did you hear that Karen's coming home? Gravano, she's coming back to New York, and I have to do what I'm told.
I left her alone, and now it's gone too far. This girl, Natalie, is a psychopath. Everything that Nat D said is true. This bitch attacks people and slanders people and calls people names just so people can pay attention to her irrelevant ass.
Hello?
Hey, what are you doing?
Working. What are you up to?
I'm on Twitter with a Natalie is going in again. And honestly, Gerard, I've had enough of this bitch.
So, what happened?
She just called me a deadbeat mother on social media where my daughter can see things. You calling me a deadbeat mother? A deadbeat mother when I'm the only mother who's held my daughter down since the day she came out of me. She has no regard for people. She has no regard for people's families. She's rotten to the core. She smells of death. That's why that bitch is in a funeral parlor every day. But guess what, mother? I'm gonna break her face the second I see her. Because at this point, my family's worth me sitting in a jail cell, like split her head open with a hammer.
You didn't hear what Gerard was saying to me on the other end of the phone.
No.
So he definitely ticked me off. But I do want to say, this is season 5 of Mob Wives. And now it became about so much outside noise and input in Twitter that I think all of us were just coming in and we're just, even Natalie, like now we're at a point where we're like, we actually made up at Angie's funeral. She was like, I don't really care. And I didn't mean anything that I said. And I was like, I don't really care. It just, we're in situations where you're forced to like, just start lashing out. And I think by season 5, that started happening. It started becoming petty, I think, at that point. But Gerard definitely provoked me on that call. He was antagonizing me on the other end. You didn't hear what he said?
No.
So I was, yeah.
No, I didn't hear what he said.
But anyways, let's keep it rolling and see what else happens.
Listen, let me ask you a question. Who does your man think, number one, coming at me, and then wants me off in front of my man as I approach? I don't get that.
I don't allow people to talk to me like that.
Who the are you?
I'm Karen.
Who?
Who are you?
I'm Natalie. What the your man did?
Watch him
I'm gonna
you.
What's your man?
Out.
Bitch, you ain't doing. Who sends a man to deal with a fight? Who?
If you want to say this is a fight, then your man must be a bitch, right?
You. Natalie. I'm a f***ing kid. Your whole family's a rat. Hey, no family talk. Run informant. No. Hello. Informants, 911. You rat motherfucker. You're a disgrace.
Come on.
I don't know. You're a disgrace, bitch. You can call my
Really?
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 You're a pig, really?
Fuck me.
You are. So this ain't going nowhere right now. This is pointless and it's aggravating.
We had a no-hit policy. So we had to actually sign paperwork before we went in. The producer on it, which is actually a very dear friend of mine now, Adam, he said we just have to get the scene done. She knew I couldn't hit her. I knew she couldn't hit me. My boyfriend at the time was there. It became, men became involved. And like I said, it just started getting real disrespectful and real petty. And it was just, to me, I was like, nah, this isn't what we signed up for. And that's where I feel like a lot of the shows started going left. And it was a lot of like, you can't hit, because there was another reality show on VH1 where they were getting sued because someone put hands on each other. And I think from our show being so intense, then that's the thing. They're like, you guys can't hit each other, but you're putting us in scenes where it's going to become a problem. And now this is going to escalate off camera. You know, like my boyfriend is, you know, around the corner. There's people around the corner. Someone's going to go to jail for this. So
It wound up in a good place. I was actually surprised as I'm watching this that you didn't blast her right in the face, because that's normally you. You couldn't never let somebody get that close right into your mouth talking like that. You would have blasted her for sure. So now I realize that why. You have a policy, you can't hit. The show is over. This. So, and I understand it now better. But
and that's where I think
who is she anyway?
She's from Philly. She claimed to be, I don't know. She's from Philly. Some girl from Philly.
Yeah, I don't know who her.
She tried to say she was Joey Molino's cousin or something. I don't know the whole thing, but anyways, I think for all of us, right? Where mob wives, if you even watch a lot of our interviews, whether it was Drita, whether it was Carl, it ended up bitter. It ended up bitter with production because we all felt like we were being thrown into the lion's den. And then it's like, you guys can't hit each other. But I haven't seen any one of these women nor interacted with them since 2016. So my everyday life isn't getting up. I don't put myself in situations where we're going to be bickering. And like you said, it would have been a fist fight. It would have been, but there's a lot riding on it, because now you're telling people, oh, well, if you do this, the show's going to get canceled. No one's going to get paid. So it's like, I'm into this. This is my form of income. I'm 6 seasons. We're 5 seasons in. And, it was frustrating. I think if it would have went on, a lot of us would have. It just became very bitter and angry at the end, and it was more frustration. I think that's why. I mean, I could speak for myself. At that particular moment, I was extremely frustrated at my cast members, at production, at the way everything was happening, and that wasn't what I signed up for. Again, the show was pitched for women who went through struggles. The mob wives that I knew, my mother, my friends' mothers and stuff, they never conducted themselves in that manner. And for me, it was starting to become disgusting. And that's where you see the frustration and the glasses breaking and everything. It was on every day. Watch an interview of Drita. She'll do an interview now and talks about the same thing. Watch, Carla. Watch Ramona. Like, everybody was put into positions. Again, it was frustrating at the time. Now, all these years later, we made money. We don't have drama, beef. The people that I don't like on the show, I think everybody played their part to make it successful. And that's just where I stand on it.
Women respected other people's families and women and stuff like that. Men had respect for each other's families and stuff. No. Now, my daughter's got a temper. She'll fight. I was shocked that she didn't blast her, because that's what she would normally do. Because that's not normal for somebody to jump in her face and say all that shit about her family or her. So it's a whole different animal. It's a show. But in the streets, it wasn't like that at all. I'm sure that she knows a lot of people, my own friends, guys who are in good positions, who respect her a ton. She'll walk into a place, they'll talk to her and greet her, and you'll never hear none of that.
No.
You'll never hear it. Until today, you won't hear that.
No. And I also carry myself with a certain type of respect. I have a lot of people outside of the mob, street people, that respect me. And there were other situations that are not on Mob Wives where, someone may have said something and they were asked to leave a place, or, it's just, I have a strong circle around me. And again, this isn't normal.
No.
But that's where I say that the show took over the concept. So
And it started giving a false of what the mob is, the Mafia families and stuff like that. It was giving an actual, not a believable situation anymore.
Yeah.
It was great up until a certain point, just like she's saying, and then it took on a different image, a different thing.
And everyone fought for their airtime. You know, everybody, we put in a few seasons and these girls came in after and it's like, I want to match this. I want airtime. I want to, you know, get endorsements or appearances and stuff like that. So everybody came on the show. And that's why, again, I say everybody that was brought onto the show was like, let's attack Karen because of the situation. And that's why I always say, like, even with the Nina Castellano, they couldn't get her to do that. And that's why hence she wasn't a cast member.
And that's the true mob wives, the Castellanos or the Gambinos or people like that. Those are true.
Even Victoria Gotti, who bashed the show prior to coming on, she came on for one season. She came on the season that I was off.
Who?
Victoria Gotti, believe it or not, she came on a season.
Oh, yes.
And
yes, I think I remember.
They were trying to say, oh, you're going to come here. So I sent a message through Charlie Canisi at the time and said, you know, I'm not even going to say what I really said, but I said, listen, if she wants to sit down with me, it's not going to be a mob wives thing like this where we're going to be arguing. We have so much history. Whether we hate each other, don't like each other, no matter what, we're always going to always be connected. So we could sit down with class and be who we really are and have a conversation. And, you know, at that particular time, she wasn't ready to do that because when I'm put in situations like that, yeah, I go crazy and I don't make sense because I'm in fight mode. But if you put me down at a table and we could sit here and go toe to toe, I mean, I've done it multiple times with her brother on social media. So I'm not scared to sit down and talk about my history. Like I said, everybody has their story. Like same way she loved her father, I love my father. We can come in and sit down and agree to disagree, but we're never going to go to blows like that. And she didn't do it, I didn't do it. And you don't see that. You don't see her getting on there. You don't see her even bash me one time.
Right,
so
right.
Those are the real mob
and you
wives.
know what got twisted now? Men on this social media now. They're disgusting.
Yeah.
They're like little kids, bad-mouthing each other on different channels, saying
for
things.
Clicks and views.
For clicks and views and stuff. And I don't even know how they could call themselves a mafia guy. Now they just bash everybody. It's amazing. I never seen anything like it. Sometimes it annoys me. Sometimes to me, it's a joke. I see some of these people talk.
Everything, that's the prime example when Mob Wives was at the height. It's like everybody's trying to make their noise to get their time
and
in the
that's what's
spotlight.
happening now with
social
men.
media, yes. And it's honestly like, I mean, I don't even pay attention to it. And I'm a woman. Like, I see all these men that were gangsters or whatever, and it's honestly petty. And it's not even worth it. Like I said, for me, I want to hear the real stories, the history. It's diminishing what I grew up understanding Cosa Nostra from you. And it was a community and Italian people that came together and protected their community. And then it got involved in crime or whatever. Even if, you know, people violated the oath or it was murder, it was done with respect and honor and the way things went down. That's what I seen. Now it's just, you know, it's just who can make the loudest noise.
The loudest noise, say the stupidest things and whatever.
And I participated in it. I got caught up in it in my own. But now that I'm stepped away, I see what it is. And I truly, at this time, focus on my business, my daughter, raising my family. And just that's it. Living life to this point. We came through a lot. And, you know, hopefully the true stories and the true understanding of that life doesn't get caught up with all the noise. And that's all I'll say for that.
You're coming through with class who you really are. That's the point. It's one thing to do a show. It's one thing to say something. But these people here today, there's no class. There were nobody. There never will be anybody. And they're noise.
Even coming back to Staten Island, that people are still stuck there. A very good friend of mine that I grew up with, Sammy. Gravano. You know him? Hi.
Yeah, I do know.
My father had a construction office in Brooklyn. It's almost like you commit your crimes in Brooklyn and then you drive over the bridge and leave your dirt. It's almost exactly the same. This was his two-way mirror. I love this two-way mirror because you can go in the other side and watch people.
Wow, what a mind blower.
I can feel like I'm in 1985 all over again. It's just crazy now to think like half of the men that were in that office with my father and me are like either dead or in prison. Where do you want to go next? I want to go to my old house. Look, it looks the same.
Hasn't changed at all.
Down here, this is my escape route. My bed's a kid at that point. You don't think of what the consequences of that good is going to be. I have to honestly say, before Mob Wives was even a thing, I was in negotiations to write a book. Mob Wives was a great launch pad for that because it sprung it. I became a New York Times bestseller in like a week, which I appreciate. But when I did it, the show wanted me to really like dig into everything. So we kind of, went through the neighborhood and stuff. And it was good to do that. It kind of like see all the old stuff.
Yeah.
Out of everything I've ever done in my life, I think my book for me was very therapeutic. And I like really hold that like very dear and in high regards because I just felt like for the first time I was able to just tell my story and the way I seen it. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my book.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your book. I'm proud of you. And that was a good thing to do. I think it is therapeutic. You can write a book, take everything out of you. Sometimes everything is bottled up inside of you. Mm-hmm. Could imagine when I got bottled up in me. So doing a book, I felt the same way a little bit.
And here's my book, Mob Daughter. I love this book, actually. I'm proud of it. I'll give it to you. You can have it.
And from what I'm told, this is on Black Friday. I don't know how much a percentage off, but it's available.
And everybody should go buy it because you're going to have to give me a percentage of the proceeds, I think.
Everybody should go buy it.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm gonna get
does Karen sign it herself?
Yeah, I'll sign a couple.
Yeah, so she'll sign some of them. She signed this, but you can sign that.
Yeah. There you go.
Looks exactly like the cover. Very nice.
Well, it was a pleasure spending time with you. I have to hit the road. Probably see you in another 2 years when I come back.
No, we see each other a lot. But have a great trip going home. Stay safe.
Okay.
And give your daughter a kiss. And her baby, your grandson.
I'm a grandmother.
Your grandmother.
I'm a very proud grandmother. It's the best thing. That's like,
he's
it's
adorable.
the new chapter in my life. Yeah, he's amazing.
He's adorable. I got pictures of him and stuff, and it's great.
Yeah.
So, adios, motherfucker.
Adios, motherfucker.